If you're looking for one of the best places to live in all of the San Antonio suburbs, then Boerne and New Braunfels are probably on your list. These two towns are only 30 minutes apart, but they offer completely different lifestyles, while they're also very, very similar. After helping hundreds of families move to the San Antonio area, I have had many people make this same decision between Boerne and New Braunfels. And I'm a straight shooter. I'm not gonna tell you that they're both great and just leave it at that. I'm going to give you the facts that you need to know about each and every one of them and all the different things that are involved with choosing between one or the other, and let you make the decision for yourself so that you kind of know exactly where you need to focus in on. Plus, stick around to the end and we're gonna talk about one factor that not a whole lot of people talk about when comparing these two cities that could save you thousands of dollars every single year. So first off, let's talk about the location and the commute and where you could potentially work at if you live in either one of these towns. So location-wise, Boerne is definitely more in the proper hill country. It's up north of San Antonio, head up I-10, and you're going out towards West Texas. It's a real easy drive to get down into downtown San Antonio if you're commuting down there. I've also had several people that are living and are working out of Lackland Air Force Base that live in Boerne and commute down into Lackland every day. It's about a 35-40 minute drive. With some decent traffic, you're like 45-50 minutes or so, but still a relatively okay commute compared to all the benefits that you get of living in Boerne. Now, New Braunfels, being on the I-35 corridor between Austin and San Antonio, it is right in the hub of the expansion of this area. I've had a lot of people that have bought in New Braunfels that commute into Austin actually and work out of Austin as well as go into San Antonio. So it's kind of a good happy medium for a lot of people there. As far as location for the hill country, it's kind of right on the edge of the hill country. On the north side of New Braunfels, you get into that hill country area. South is more of that flat farmland, but you are looking at driving up a little ways north to get into the true hill country area. So when it comes to the demographics and the overall population of each town, New Braunfels is definitely a lot bigger, as you can imagine. So you're up over 100,000 people plus, 110,000 people plus. New Braunfels has grown over 50% since 2018, making it one of the fastest growing cities in the entire state of Texas. Boerne, on the other hand, is much smaller. Your population is only about 25,000 or so. As you can imagine, this makes Boerne a lot quieter town to live in. Although it has grown quite a bit in recent years, it is still overall the most slower paced town of the two. You've got the small downtown, you've got lower population, so it makes it for a little bit quieter, more typical hill country small town. New Braunfels, on the other hand, having over 100,000 people and having such a dramatic tourist scene, is a lot busier. I would consider New Braunfels to be more of like a small city and more of the active hustle bustle. There's a lot more traffic and everything from all the people moving in and all the tourists that come in. When you think about Worst Fest, that happens every fall. It brings over 200,000 people to the town every single year. There are millions of people traveling into New Braunfels for tourist season every single year, with over 500,000 floating the Comal River every year. You've got a very active downtown in New Braunfels as well. You do have a good downtown in Boerne, but downtown in Boerne is more of the artsy, antique shops, art galleries, little breweries, restaurants, shops, like that kind of thing. Whereas downtown New Braunfels, you've got bars, you've got dance halls, you've got music venues, you've also got the shops with the antique stores and everything like that. I mean, so you have everything in downtown New Braunfels, and it has a much stronger nightlife there. In addition to Green, where you have Green Hall being a very popular dance hall, lots of other restaurants over there being right on the river too. It's just a lot more tourists in those areas, a lot more activity all the time. So when it comes to the amenities and lifestyle, we kind of already mentioned this in that last section, but when it comes to Boerne, you have the downtown area, which is called the Hill Country Mile. So that is the downtown strip of Main Street in Boerne. You've got a couple different things that happen every year in Boerne. You have Dickens on Main, which is a very big Christmas festival every year. You also have, as far as outdoors go, you have the Boerne City Lake, which is a beautiful spot, just a really cool small little lake that is only for specifically like non-motorized boats or swimming, so you can get paddleboards, kayaks, sailboats, those types of things on there, but no jet skis, no fishing boats, all that kind of stuff. So you still can fish in Boerne City Lake. I haven't personally done it, but I've seen plenty of people doing it. You also have the Cibolo Nature Center and 18 miles of connected trails throughout the city along the Cibolo Creek. I'd say when it comes to lifestyle, slower pace, family focused, as far as quieter, very highly rated school district, which we're going to get into the school district here in just a second. But you also have just a more like deliberate lifestyle of just like kind of hanging out and enjoying the town itself. When it comes to New Braunfels, everything revolves around the lifestyle of New Braunfels. I mean, even for me personally, not living in New Braunfels, but being close by, we go to New Braunfels all the time if we're gonna want to do anything real fun, right? So whether it's rivers, you've got multiple rivers, you got Guadalupe, you got the Comal River, you've got Lake Dunlap, which is a smaller lake, you've got Canyon Lake just on the north side of New Braunfels, not far away at all. You've got Landa Park, which is a massive park that has tons of playgrounds for the kids. It's got the spring-fed pools there. Got the golf courses, such as the one at Landa. You've also got the Bandit, which is just south of New Braunfels. Of course, like I already mentioned, tubing brings hundreds of thousands of people to New Braunfels every single year. And you also have Schlitterbahn Water Park, which is one of the top, if not the top water park in the entire world. The food scene is great in New Braunfels, from green to downtown to all the different German culture that is throughout New Braunfels. That's, kind of brings on with Wurstfest, right? New Braunfels is a very German-heavy influenced town. As far as shopping and, kind of your daily life goes, again, Boerne is smaller, so you've got one main H-E-B in the town of Boerne, and then south and Fair Oaks Ranch, just right outside of Fair Oaks Ranch on I-10, you have a brand new big H-E-B Plus, which is really, really good for that area, because otherwise you had to drive all the way into Boerne or go all the way south to like that Leon Creek area. But for Boerne itself, in town, it's more the local shops, right? There's not as many of the big box shops. Actually, there's like no big box shops at all in Boerne until you get further south and get into San Antonio. But La Cantera, the shops at La Cantera and the Rim, which are two of San Antonio's biggest shopping areas. The shops at La Cantera is one of the best in the entire state. It's only a 15-minute or so drive from Boerne, just straight down Interstate 10 to get to the big mall, which is a really big plus. As far as New Braunfels goes, they've got more things in town itself. So you have all the local shops, as far as downtown, Green, all the little boutiques are all over town. But you also have Creekside, which has, your Target, your Best Buy, your Dick's Sporting Goods, Hobby Lobby, Belk, like all the big box shops are right there, as well as some of the more popular chain restaurants too. So you have more of the shopping center hub in New Braunfels proper versus in Boerne. You got to drive to that. Now to get to some of the bigger malls itself, from New Braunfels, you got to drive either into San Antonio in that Live Oak area, the Forum, right there, or, which honestly the Forum has pretty much everything that Creekside has, or you go north up 35 to San Marcos and the outlet malls over in San Marcos, which is a super easy drive to if you want a true mall experience for your shopping. When it comes to jobs and growth, Boerne, of course, is more of the small town, right? The major employers are the schools and the city. So just about everybody in Boerne commutes down into San Antonio or works from home. It is much more common. There's also a ton more retirees, I would say, in Boerne compared to New Braunfels. Now, again, that's a percentage thing, right? So New Braunfels itself does get a lot of retirees. I've had multiple folks that have talked to me that are retiring and have chose both places. So it just kind of depends on what you want. But overall in percentage, you have a lot more in Boerne just because there's a few more of the, I would say, higher end luxury neighborhoods, which we'll get into some of the real estate statistics here in a second and talk about some of those big neighborhoods versus, what you get over in New Braunfels. Over in New Braunfels, there's lots of cool little spots down in Green that are really popular for retirees, and just being overall like in the general downtown area of New Braunfels is extremely popular compared to being over in Boerne, and you're in more of these like communities such as Esperanza or Cordillera Ranch, right? Now, overall, there are a couple other employers that are in Boerne that are notable, Albany Materials and then Mission Pharmacol, which both of those have a couple hundred employees in each. So not a big, major employer in that area. Now, New Braunfels, of course, tourism is the main driving factor for employment there in New Braunfels. You've got multiple other major manufacturers and warehouses. There's a huge Walmart distribution facility, I believe Vitesco, which is a automotive manufacturing company, just finished up their plant up on that north side right off of 35 going out towards San Marcos and Austin as well. You do get a lot of people that commute from New Braunfels. There's not like just an overwhelming amount of industry there in New Braunfels as far as, corporate headquarters or things like that. It's still, by all intents and purposes, a small city, a big town, right? So you only have 100,000 or so people. Everybody, for the most part, still commutes down into San Antonio and up into Austin. And so traffic from New Braunfels to get into San Antonio on 35 or even up north, 35 is one of the most congested highways in the entire state of Texas. So it does get rough. Don't get me wrong. There's no question about that. Now, talking about the overall growth of both of these places, they're both two of the fastest growing suburbs in the entire San Antonio area. Of course, New Braunfels is growing at a much more dramatic pace than Boerne is, just because of its sheer size. It's also because of it being closer to that flatter farmland. You have a lot more development opportunities, and New Braunfels is very liberal when it comes to letting these developers come in and just do whatever they want, right? So they have tons and tons of neighborhoods popping up all over the place. I mean, hundreds of new homes available for sale right now. Whereas in Boerne, it is much less that. It is, they're much more conservative on allowing and what they allow the developers to do. They are not, giving out, all of these different water meters and things like that to let all these people come in, all these developers come in and just put 1,000 home subdivisions up all the time. It's much smaller, higher quality. They really focus on that. Now they are doing a couple things with some other, like D.R. Horton. There's one D.R. Horton community that's getting ready to go in, but it's going to be a smaller D.R. Horton community. So just kind of helping more with that affordable new homes in Boerne instead of everything that's like multi-million dollars. When it comes to education, Boerne ISD is one of the most highly rated school districts in the entire state. You're at a 94 out of 100 there. Not a single school in Boerne ISD is rated below an 87 out of 100. You also got private school options. Geneva School of Boerne is a very, very popular private school. You got a couple different high schools in Boerne High School and Boerne Champion High School. Again, the entire district is very, very well talked about. I have a ton of families that are moving here that specifically ask me about Boerne for this reason because of how highly rated it is. Now looking at New Braunfels, there are two school districts there, however. There's New Braunfels ISD and Commute ISD. Both are large. Commute ISD doesn't cover just New Braunfels. It covers all the way up to like Bulverde, Spring Branch, Garden Ridge, Canyon Lake, that whole area too. But both are also extremely highly rated. Commute is a 93 out of 100 and New Braunfels is a 87 out of 100. You've got Canyon High School for Commute ISD, and then as far as New Braunfels ISD, you've got New Braunfels High School, but they just opened Long Creek High School, which is a brand new one on that south side of New Braunfels. There are lots of new schools being built. You've got one going up in Mayfair that's going to open because of that community and how large it's going to be. Elementary schools within some of these big communities, such as Fairmindy as well. And then you've also got some early college programs as well through like the St. Philip's College, which is right there locally. As far as private schools go, New Braunfels Christian Academy is probably the biggest and most popular, but there are others just kind of in that general area and kind of between New Braunfels and San Antonio. Now Boerne as a whole, as far as healthcare goes, doesn't have a huge major hospital. You've got a lot close by in that San Antonio area and on the way to San Antonio, but there's nothing right there in town. There's some, of course, plenty of things that as far as like major urgent cares, emergency rooms and things like that, but not a big, large hospital if that's something that you really need to be close by. New Braunfels, on the other hand, has a couple different ones. You have Christus, and then you have the Resolute Baptist Hospital, which is in Creekside. Both of these are large hospitals with a lot of capacity for whatever you need done and are really, really good options to have close by. And honestly, it just makes sense because of the population of both, just kind of seeing what they have as far as healthcare options and the number of people that New Braunfels needs to serve in their area compared to what Boerne has and then what San Antonio offers, which is closer to Boerne. Now let's talk a little bit about real estate. So talking about the home styles and the neighborhoods that are available, Boerne is definitely on the upper end for sure. You have a lot of new construction, but you have a lot of also luxury homes in Boerne. You've got a wide price range. I mean, the median price point in Boerne is significantly higher than New Braunfels. You're probably looking at like the 600-700s in Boerne versus, in New Braunfels, you're at the, 300 to 400 range. New Braunfels also has a lot of walkable neighborhoods compared to Boerne. I mean, Boerne has some that are walkable to get into downtown, but obviously the size and everything is just a big difference. The style of the homes that are close to downtown is actually very similar. New Braunfels has a much wider variety of those. There's also some that are popping up over there in the Creekside area that are relatively walkable to get over into Creekside if you want to go to those restaurants or shopping areas. Both areas do have developments that, as far as, new home construction, which again is very popular in the San Antonio area. You've got such as Corley Farms, Esperanza, ranches at Creekside and Boerne. All three of those are significantly higher priced. And Corley Farms is probably one of the most affordable in addition to Shoreline Park, which is a KB home neighborhood. In New Braunfels, you have multiple neighborhoods. I mean, there's probably a couple hundred homes that are available in that $200,000 to $300,000 price range. So if you're looking at a very affordable home, but you want to be in one of these suburb areas with good school districts, you can get homes that are around $250,000 or even a little bit less in New Braunfels, whereas that's completely out of the question in Boerne. Here is that hidden gem that I was talking about, that hidden factor that a lot of people don't think about, and that is the property taxes. So believe it or not, Boerne is one of the lowest areas. Boerne and Kendall County are one of the lowest areas for property taxes in the entire San Antonio area. There are neighborhoods in Boerne where you can have 1.3-ish% property taxes compared to in San Antonio, you're at like 2.3, 2.4%. Thousands and thousands, especially if you're going up on those higher price homes. Think about $1 million home in Boerne. You're talking a, $13,000 a year of property taxes versus $23,000 a year. So you're almost $1,000 a month difference just in the property taxes alone. In New Braunfels, you're looking on average, depending if you're in city limits or not, you're on the low end, you're at like 1.7%. So again, it's still lower, but you're at like 1.7 to like 2 to 2.3, whereas like, In Boerne, you're at like 1.3, 1.5 to, you know, like 1.7, 1.8, and a couple areas are 2%, but much lower property tax opportunities in that Boerne area compared to New Braunfels, and it can truly save you thousands of dollars a year. Now again, guys, like I said at the very beginning, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that both of these places are the best places that you could possibly ever move to, but as far as whenever you're looking at suburbs of San Antonio, in my opinion, these are two of the best options and two of the options that I get the most conversations and have the most conversations about. For Boerne, a lot of retirees, but a lot of families for the schools. I get a lot of questions about if you're moving from out of state, if they're very accepting of people. And again, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had people move here and have said how accepting people in Boerne are and how easy it's been for their kids to make friends. New Braunfels is a much bigger town. You have a lot more going on. Communities, tons of different options as far as housing goes in New Braunfels, from, you know, that $200,000 home all the way up to that multi-million-dollar estate. So you have loads of variety in New Braunfels, and everything that you need to do is right there in New Braunfels. Of course, you look at the location difference. If you're working on that northwest side of San Antonio, Boerne is by far going to be the easiest commute in. New Braunfels, if you're working on that northeast side, or even like commuting into Randolph Air Force Base, or going up into Austin, New Braunfels is an outstanding location for you as well. You know, there's a variety of different things, again, guys, and I can tailor all these conversations to you directly once we have those conversations. So if you guys do have any questions about it, do not hesitate to reach out or schedule that call specifically. It's a whole lot easier if you guys go in and schedule that call, and nothing beats experiencing these yourself, guys. So I would highly recommend, if you have any concerns at all, schedule a trip down here. We can talk over those details. See Boerne, see New Braunfels, spend a day in each, see which one you like the lifestyle better. If you're interested in seeing a little more specific detailed dive in of exactly what New Braunfels is like, I did a driving tour of New Braunfels that is very, very detailed and very in-depth about everything that you need to know about New Braunfels. That video is right here, so check that out. And until the next one, we'll see you there.